Kate has a question. Hi, Mike. I'm turning 18 this year, and I've been a Christian for 2 years now. I'm looking at colleges now because I'm a junior in high school. Any advice for looking at colleges and going into adulthood? Sure. Well, happy coming birthday, 18 years old, Kate. So I could give you, tons of advice. The best advice comes from people who actually know you well, who actually can see you and they understand how you fit in the world. That's the best advice that you can get. So I would say, actually listen to people who have advice around you, but look at the adults who can see you with hope in their eyes. What I mean by that is, some people, they see you at 18, 17, but they really see the 12-year-old version of you, and they can't see who you're becoming and who you're growing into. That person's not going to be a great source of advice because they think you're limited by your past. But other people don't know anything about you, and so then they're not that great for advice either, because they're just like, you can do anything you imagine, anything you set your mind to. And you're like, no, you can't. Like, that's not the reality we live in. And so it's helpful to find people who are in between, people who realistically know you, but have a real hope for your future and an excitement about what might happen. Those people are good for sources for advice and counsel. They could see gifts in you that you might not notice because they're so easy. They're natural to you, so you don't realize that they're there. Also for college is, don't just, I'm just going to try to give wisdom, I think, from Proverbs here, which is the idea of asking yourself if this is a worthwhile investment before you get into it. Don't just go into college and you're like 6 months in and people are like, what's your major? And you're like, I don't know. Pick a path that looks like it'll lead to realistic employment in the future. I say this is Proverbs wisdom because it's about consequential thinking about your future. Is this really worthwhile? Is this college degree going to actually assist me in practical ways in the future? Or am I just kind of like throwing years of my life and tons of money at something that may or may not pan out, but I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to try it. So I'm going to suggest that you come up with a plan. It's much better to have a plan for a career that you decide to change later than to have no plan. And then if you still never really figure out what you want to do, you've got no like sort of collateral moving your life towards a specific agenda. As a Christian, you might be thinking the world's getting darker and maybe Jesus is coming back. And that's true, he might, but I would not encourage failing to plan for your retirement, right? Your whole life and even your retirement, because you think Jesus is going to come back. Because I think that that's something I started to fall into when I was about your age. Like, is it even worth it to go to college? Like, what's the point? Am I even going to have an opportunity to, is Jesus even going to wait another 5 years? And I think that what that was is I was involved with a group of people who were very excited about the return of Christ, but a little bit short-sighted about their ability to predict his return. So I think that that's an encouragement I would give you is actually plan. I want to be like serving the Lord well and faithfully in my life every day, every year, so that whether he comes back now or comes back when I'm 80, maybe I just go to him when I pass, that either way, I will have had a well done, my good and faithful servant at the end of it, instead of, well, you thought I was coming back, but you were wrong. You blew it. So yeah, consider the investment. Is this actually worth it? When it comes to colleges, obviously, now especially, you might want to research into the kind of education you're getting. Sometimes as a Christian, because in our universities and colleges, they're indoctrinating specific worldview issues into the students that are just not true. And so what happens is you have a student who, as a Christian, you're learning the material of the class, and you're trying to do worldview and philosophy stuff that is in addition to your education to try to understand the worldview problems of what you're hearing. As a Christian, I'm like, this is just how it is. Like, that's how it is. You're like Daniel going into a secular education environment where there is real education, but there's also worldview stuff that is simply not true. And you have to be wiser than those around you. You got to work harder than those around you, or you're just going to go with the flow. And you'll be like so many who go into college and they walk out spiritually stupid, but with a degree. And that does happen plenty of times. But if you're going to be diligent, do your work, and like actually research these things, look into some apologetics things, then you walk out even more prepared to witness and minister to your culture. So there's my thoughts. Kate, don't be overwhelmed. Everyone goes through this. My last encouragement to you, don't be overwhelmed. Everybody goes through this. It's scary moving towards adulthood. It's intimidating heading into these things. You're like, how on earth am I going to even make enough money to live? Everyone goes through that. Just one step at a time. Come up with a plan. Do your best to achieve it. Serve God to the best of your ability in the midst of it. And trust in Him to take care of you.